Good morning, everybody. Pat Flynn here for our weekly live Q&A with legendary strength coach Dan John, who will be here in just a minute. As always, we look forward to answering all of your awesome questions about lifting and life. If you are here live, please submit your questions in the pretty little comment box right now. We'll get to as many as we can. By the way, if you don't tune in live, which I know is the majority of listeners, you can always send in a question through email. Just email me with the subject line podcast question. I'll store that away in my special little folder. Sometimes we dedicate episodes specifically to non-live questions, so don't be shy. We'd love to help you out. I get it doesn't always fit everyone's schedule to tune in live. But for those of you who are here live, welcome. We appreciate you, as always, every week joining in this conversation, trying to make the world a better place. So leave your questions here. I wanted to hop on just a few minutes early for just to say hello and to announce a few things. Oh, by the way, check it out. If you're watching, I've got Iron Man with me today. Iron Man's watching my back, keeping me safe here. Hey, kind of a big thing that I wanted to announce. We just launched this about a week and a half ago, and it's actually sort of blown up, and I'm really excited about this. It's the new Imam Club. I mentioned it, I think, briefly last podcast, but this was something that people had been asking me for a while. I had released a number of Imam challenges. Imam stands for every minute on the minute. It's Ron's favorite workout. And people wanted something ongoing, an ongoing Imam Club where you get fresh-baked Imam workouts from me every month, kettlebell Imam workouts that take just like 20 to 30 minutes. They're total body, fat blasting, muscle boosting, the world's most efficient workout. I kid you not. I created that. I launched it. It's amazing. It's incredible. And literally everybody's there. So if you're not there, you're like the only one missing out. So I want you to check it out. And I want you to consider joining my very precious and very special Imam Club, because one, the price is amazing. And two, you just get so much good stuff, not just the ongoing Imam workouts. You also get a whole bunch of bonus workouts too. We've got body weight only Imams that we give to people, glute focused Imams, the ultimate mobility and flexibility Imam. You get it all just to come try it out, honestly. And I want you to stay a member because you love it and you're just getting awesome results. So it can't hurt. Come try it out for a month. Seriously, give the workouts a test run and see if it's your thing. I think it will be. You can sign up over at chroniclesofstrength.com/Imam Club. One more time, that's chroniclesofstrength.com/Imam Club. All one word, EMOMCLUB, Imam Club. So we release a new issue of Imam Club every month, and every month it's a full month of programming that has a specific theme to it. So sometimes the Imams will be focused on, pressing, becoming a super presser, or a cutting phase, fat loss, or building muscle, or what have you. So there's a kind of rotating theme that keeps things fresh and exciting, but it's all integrated in a larger programming structure that I designed. So you don't have to think about anything if you don't want. You just do the workouts, you get awesome results, you get on with your day. So there's my pitch for today. Thank you for considering. Head over to chroniclesofstrength.com/Imam Club to be as awesome as our man Tom here, who is a member of Imam Club. He's about to do Mr. Squid. Yeah, we have cool workout names like that. Workout 3 of Imam Club. Appreciate you, Tom. Thank you, as always, for your support. Okay. So what are you guys drinking? And let me know where you're tuning in from. So what's in your mug and where in the world are you? I'm Pat Flynn, and today I'm pretty boring. I've just got a little bit of water, and I'm in good old-fashioned Wisconsin, the cheese state. Still cold here. We're in so Wisconsin has 3 seasons. We've got summer, fall, winter, and then we have schizophrenic mud season. And we're in schizophrenic mud season right now, where the weather can't make up its mind. Like, we'll have one day where it's 70 and super sunny, and then the very next day it'll be like -3 and snowing, and everything is mud. Just everything is mud. So we don't have spring. We have schizophrenic mud season. That lasts for a while, and then eventually we get into summer, which is honestly, it's perfect in Wisconsin. The winter's a little rough, but the summers here are just gorgeous. They're perfect. They don't last very long, but you can't beat them. Perfect amount of sunshine, heat, humidity. Everything is green and fresh and glowing, and life is perfect and wonderful for about 2 weeks. And then we begin to descend. It's not that bad. Actually, Wisconsin's a great place to live. I recommend checking it out. Tom says, sounds like the UK. Jack is tuning in from Finland. Kang is here from Atlanta. Good to see all of you guys. Dan John will be here in probably about 20 seconds. So post whatever questions you want us to answer. As always, all is fair game. Anything related to lifting or life in general, we're happy to offer whatever little advice we can to make your pursuits a little bit more effective, a little bit more efficient, and hopefully a little bit more enjoyable as well. I can't believe it. Iron Man, you guys see, we don't just have Iron Man here today, guys. Look at this. We got another special guest. We got Spider-Man. So this is what happens when you ask your toddlers to clean up. They just throw everything into dad's little podcast space. Isn't that interesting? That's certainly a method, isn't it? So we have extra reinforcement, the bodyguards. For those who are just listening, we've got like I don't know, what is that? Like a 1 foot stuffed Iron Man and Spider-Man watching my back here today. So that's good. Kang says, Pat, what's the email address to send questions to? Yeah, if you want to send in questions because you can't tune in live, the best email is patflynn@chroniclesofstrength.com. So just my name at my website. Just be sure if you send in a question, you put podcast question in the subject line. All right, Dan John is here. Dan, we are already live.
Good morning. Hey, I'm sorry I'm tardy.
That's all right. You're not. I don't think you are actually, but great to see you as always, and good morning.
Good morning. Hey, let me just plug. There we go.
Yeah, I was just letting people know that if they don't tune in live, they can always email a question in once in a while. Yeah, pull those up.
No way.
No. With a garbage bag full of cash.
Yeah.
Left out on Dan John's front porch.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That'd be great.
Yeah. So how are you? And what's did that seminar happen? I think you said you were doing. Yeah. Give us a quick update before we take.
Yeah, I went down to Las Vegas for the Parker seminar, and it's a clearly I don't know if I fit with. I like Parker. I like the school very much. But I think I'm an odd fit for their seminar. I'm strength and conditioning. I'm, knock doors down kind of guy. And, they're more, a lot of the people are more on the rehab side, but, I talked about resilience and bouncing back up. And I talked about, a lot of the stuff that I think I think a lot of, gentle listener, I just go for me while I gather my thought. Sometimes I think, when I'm talking to an audience that they're still thinking, one set of 10 on a machine, then you get off and you walk to the next machine and you do another. There's no, a lot of the stuff I talk about with the hinge and the squat and stuff, and even level changes and, combining lifting with sprinting. I just feel I'm in a different room than a lot of people.
Well, it sounds at least complimentary. It doesn't sound like you're necessarily at odds with what they're. Wasn't like you were at a conference for the workout that shall not be named or something like that. Right?
True that. Yeah. Yeah. But it was good. I really enjoyed it, and they're wonderful to me. There's just a feeling I have, like I, as much as I like working for Perform Better, there were times where the questions would come up at the end, and I'd be like, "Holy cow! Did you either I didn't say anything right?" Or you didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, folks, and I got to get better about this. I got to remind myself when I open it up for questions, I always have to ask the person asking the question, is this a story or a question? Is this a story or a question? And we had a couple of those, and it's hard because, in a room full of people, it's always hard for me to say, okay, good. Hi, I'm Dan John. I have advanced degrees.
Here's my 30 years of personal history.
And it's like we're all sitting in the room. The clock is ticking because they have very tight windows and these bigger ones. And I'm like, oh. And then, And then the next person says, would you spell Pat Flynn's last name? It's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Flin. There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, things are good. Body weight was interesting. When I got home Saturday, I weighed 224. And this morning,
nice.
And this morning I weighed 212.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. There you
Well,
go.
I mean, they're both, for me, they're both good weights historically, but that will tell you about how much just, folks, I try to make good decisions when I eat, but it's hard to overcome whatever the salt, whatever they do. I know they add salt to fast foods. I know that, but I don't know if my body likes it. But I it was just funny because basically this is going to sound maybe too much information, but uh, or as Michael Scott from The Office taught us, TMI. But I just I feel like I spent half the day yesterday just peeing, just.
Yeah, right. Yep.
But I feel really good, and I had a really nice workout yesterday. And
Good. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, honestly, because I hate travel. I don't travel well. You travel a lot, so the fact that you
yeah,
keep it together as well as you do with that much travel is a skill. That's a skill for sure.
and I'm really proud about the way I pack. I'm really
Mhm.
I like how I do. I think things through, and that's the one that I'm still kind of struggling with a little bit, is dealing with. And folks, I count calories. I do the things, but I just, and so I can keep ahead of the calories, and I think I'm okay on sleep. At least this time I got great night's sleep, but there's something else. I say it's the salt, but if I weighed 224 on Saturday and I weighed 223 and a half this morning, then I'd say somehow I magically put on a whole bunch of fat, and,
Mhm.
and now, but it's just, I don't know. But I can also see years ago, a buddy of mine, Father Oscar Lucafar, and I, we did a workshop down in Las Vegas, and we went to lunch, and all of a sudden he had this terribly sad look on his face. I go, "What's wrong?" And he was just so depressed by the people at the machines gambling. It
Mhm.
really bothered him, and I didn't really get it at that time. I just thought he was being hyper empathetic. But this time, now that I'm in the same age cohort as so many of them, I do find that not saddening. I mean, they make their choices, but
I'm
just
with you. Yeah.
watching a person with a cigarette in his hand, and again, this is my dad and my mom, so I'm cool with this. You got a drink in this hand, and just sitting there doing this, and not being able to literally get up from the chair.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, it can bring a case of the saddies to be sure. So,
Yeah.
but to try and bring a little, little rainbow and sunshine into the world, let's take some listener questions, shall we, Dan? That's
Yes.
good. All right, let's slightly out of order, but this one just caught my eye. Jack Lumber, Lumberjack wants to know: would you rather? We caught you, sir. We see what you're doing. Ain't nothing get by us. He wants to know: would you rather recommend single kettlebell exercises for distance runners, and if so, sets and reps? Okay, so somebody's a runner, Dan, and our friend Jack Lumber wants to know if you would specifically recommend the single-legged kettlebell exercises for them.
No, no. I mean, if he was my athlete, runner, I'd be having him doing more something like the more a deadlift variation and a press variation, something like hanging bent knee leg raises, and then maybe. So those would be the big lifts. Those would be the big three. Okay, the push, the deadlift variation, and either the hanging leg raise or some kind of ab. It could be suitcase carries today, ab wheel tomorrow, and then hanging bent knee leg raises, and then one or two other exercises that will just complement. But I believe, Jack Lumber, that you get all the single leg work you need as a runner running, and
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I do
Yep.
push the hill sprints for strength for runners. And if you don't have hills, then obviously sled pulls and prowlers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So speaking
I,
of email questions, I just caught one a little earlier, and I'll throw it out to you, Dan. Somebody wants to just have. They're not worried about doing every 5K, but they want to have a decent mile time, and they want to be able to do the mile with a certain feeling of slickness and ease.
Hmm. Interesting way to
And
say that.
I think that's kind of like something that, you can't quantify it. It's a qualitative thing, right?
Yeah.
That you can progress at something by it just feeling easier, right?
Yeah.
So they want to be able to have that, but they also mostly just, want to do their lifting thing. How would you recommend that somebody goes about having the best of both of those worlds?
Well, the only time I ever combined it on a personal note was my senior year in high school football. And basically that summer, I mean, I lifted, and when I played high school football, it was that that's when we were told that the best conditioning was running,
Of course.
but as we know that wasn't, but there's going to have to be a combination of some to make it smooth. You will have to do over distance, probably, get yourself comfortable with running 3 miles. I know this sounds opposite, but one day a week, you're going to have to do over distance, and I don't think 3 miles is a terribly huge. Oh,
No.
did I just disappear?
No, you're here. I see you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and my thing just worked. You're probably going to have to get some mileage in, probably every day, or just organize a nice program. But I think the best way to do this is lift 3 days a week. On one of those off days, have that over distance day.
Mm-hmm.
And then on those 3 lifting days, I would suggest you go out. One day should be kind of sprinty, hill sprinty, sprinty, whatever that means.
Sprinty sprints, sure.
Yeah, whatever that means to you. One of the days that week might not be a terrible idea to just do something in that mile range of, maybe a slow warm up, followed by I don't know, 5-6 minutes of easy moving, progress from walking to striding, and then to running, and try to hold on to that run for, again, 5 or 6 minutes. And then just, so one day a week is, just goes like that: walk, stride, run, stride, walk, maybe for a total of 15 minutes. And after the third workout, you just, I wouldn't mind seeing something. This might be a good day to just get a nice long walk or stride or whatever. Yeah,
I like that. Mm-hmm.
Running after lifting is marvelous for the gentleman runner.
Mm-hmm.
The person who isn't in. To answer that question, if lift then run one day a week, do the real long one. Yeah.
The gentleman runner.
Well,
That's
you
good.
know what I mean. If
the gentleman runner program, I like it. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
how to run like a gentleman. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in college, our elite runner, Tarl Ludwigsman, every morning he would wake up and he'd have his gear there and he would go run 7 miles every morning of the day of the week, 7 days a week, 50 miles of running to just get it. 7 miles, folks, every morning. That, and then in the afternoons, he'd be doing repeats and long distance and everything else. So that's, that's that whole power law in elite sports. I mean, you can, 3 days a week, go for a walk, lift and go for a walk, which is kind of what I do. Or, 7 miles in the morning, and then, an additional 3, 4, 5 miles running in the afternoon. The middle doesn't work as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Good. All right. Let's take this one. Steven, this is sort of a follow-up, I think. He says, I've made it 4 weeks into 30 for 30, and I'm planning on starting a new cycle by swapping snatches for swings for the cardio. Is this a good progression? Maybe one arm swings instead. So I always hate to do this because it's a bit repetitive, but for new listeners, which is always the case, Dan, could you briefly re-explain the 30 for 30 protocol?
Yeah, my friend Gernot came up with the idea. It's brilliant. And it's marvelous in a group setting. Anybody who's not doing 30 for 30 just doesn't understand finance and the personal fitness business. I think it's genius. So you do, it's real simple. For 30 minutes, you're going to do an exercise for 30 seconds and then rest for 30 seconds for 30 minutes. But the best way to do it is to pick a set of exercises a push, a pull, a hinge, a squat, a loaded carry, march it in place or something. And you go 30 seconds of push, rest, 30 seconds of pull, rest, 30 seconds of squat, rest, 30 seconds of hinge, rest, 30 seconds of suitcase carry, march in place. If you really want to have fun with it, you can slide mobility work in between. So push for 30 seconds, rest for 30, do a mobility movement for 30 seconds, rest, and you can just make it as complex as you want. Obviously, Stephen has already done a month of it, so he probably already knows he already knows the ups and downs of it. So I would say that the kettlebell snatch works really well in the 30-30 for 30 protocol. I don't know about the one-hand swing. I've never done them. But the only thing you're going to have a problem with on this idea, Stephen, is that, remember, you're going to snatch with the left hand for 30 seconds. So how many reps are you going to get in there? It's weird because you can get, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 snatches, probably relatively easy in 30 seconds. But the hit of 15 snatches is a little bit different, 14, 13, whatever, than say 22 swings in 30 seconds. The hit is a little different. Am I right on that?
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about the snatch too is because you have that lockout, you have some tempo control. You don't really have that with the. You can kind of control the cadence more with the snatch. Yeah. The swing doesn't necessarily give you that luxury, and that could be helpful on certain timed workouts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny about the snatch. I think the kettlebell snatch is really, and it's funny because in the original stuff Pavel put together, the kettlebell snatch was the exercise in fact, they didn't have kettlebells back there. It was the dumbbell snatch. I mean, everybody in 1999, when I say everybody online was doing dumbbell snatches, that means the 12 of us that I were talking to were doing it. But the dumbbell and kettlebell snatch are really remarkable exercises. But man, do they punch you in the face.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. All right, here's a question from Edward. He wants to know, hey, how would I go about strengthening the wrist to eliminate pressure from front squats and overhead presses? Could it be weak forearms?
Well, the wrists are a joint. And there is a band that goes around them, but that's I think a ligament or tendon or something like that. I can never keep it straight, but is this a flexibility?
Yeah, so I would want to clarify a few things. So assuming we're talking about kettlebells, because if we're talking about barbell front squat, it's mostly a shoulder thing. So if your wrists are the issue
I'm sorry,
there,
I didn't even go that direction.
But no, I think So I'm assuming kettlebells. Okay. I don't know, 7 times out of 10, something like that, some high percentage. The issue with wrists is people just aren't holding the kettlebell right? So they're holding the kettlebell kind of way up at the top of the hand, and it's yanking the wrist back, and ain't no strength in that, right? So what you rather want to do is get your alignment set so that your front 2 knuckles are lined up with your forearm. So it actually looks like you're snakeheading a little bit, right? That's the way you want it. And to make sure that stays, the kettlebell really needs to kind of be deep in the base of the palm, cutting at an angle. If you hold it right, you should be able to keep that alignment, and then it should feel like your wrists aren't totally involved at all. And you got to kind of, get strong in that position like anything. And the forearms do need to toughen up and do a couple rack holds. Just spend some time there. I don't know, Dan, anything?
Yeah, I agree. I always tell people to, if you're having that, is go stabby hands. So here's my front squat.
That's good. Yeah.
Stabby hands. Stabby hands is that things will slide into place. And I watch people, when they do their kettlebell snatch test at the certs. I'll watch people do, they'll pass the test with 100 reps of banging that wrist, and I'll just show them that, how to do it right. And they're like, oh, and I got to tell you from the heart, I have great respect for people who do 100 reps banging the wrist every time, because this person showed up prepared for the snatch test, and they did the best they could. They did the best they could, and and they're probably by themselves in their own gym trying to learn off the YouTube so they can pass the test. And I have great respect for that.
Yeah, some real grit there. I mean, when you're
Yeah.
using not great technique, it's more difficult for sure. Yeah.
But I mean, whenever you work with somebody who doesn't have, I've worked with like different discus throwers and stuff in my career who have literally nothing to work with. Yeah. And I get more joy out of that because it's like, maybe their facilities aren't very good or they don't have much, and I love it because they're working hard, overcoming problem after problem. And when I connect A to B, it's like, oh, I love that. That's my favorite thing in coaching is.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, those determined yet self-taught, and you can give them a lot of aha. You can give them a lot of aha moments, right? Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I like what Patrick said about snake grip, stabby hands. If we're talking about kettlebells, try that. The nice thing is if you stab hand on a snatch, the bell does whip right around. I teach swing, stab, and if you have to, if you need more terms in your head for that, you're not training ballistically. So
yeah, no, that's great. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Yeah, I mean, really, the thing is it is the forms, right? The forms do just need to be conditioned over time when you're using, and then you'll get that cool little like kettlebell lumpy adaptation on your forearms over time. It's real attractive.
Which is funny because I don't have it anymore. And when I make fun of that technique at certs, I always wake up the next day with my wrist killing me.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Take a few more here. Kang says, "Hey, does running stairs or bleachers count as hill sprints? What says the mind of Dan John?"
Well, obviously, I think they do. But I'll just say this for the record: hill sprints are safer than bleacher runs. The issue on bleacher runs is you really do have to stay focused on that. And maybe your stride is. I'm just making this up, but say your stride is this long. I can't use my hands because this is on audio too. Your stride is 1 meter, but the stairs are 0.9 meters apart. You're not in your natural stride. Whereas on hill sprints, you can kind of dictate your stride length. That's my only knock on it. Tired people catch their feet on bleacher runs. I've seen it, done it. But I've never had anybody get hurt doing a hill sprint. So that's the only difference, King.
If you got the perfect hill right there and some bleachers, just go for the hill. All right. Let's Jordan says, good advice here. Probably a bad idea to stab a hand through a dumbbell or barbell snatch. Funny though. Yeah. Probably. Shoo.
I get, I know when I do overhead squats, my hands are barely, I'm just resting. They're just resting. Yeah. But I agree. That would be funny. That becomes a weight for height. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that is a technique too, even with kettlebells, even though stabby hands, right? With the snatch, you kind of want just as tight of a grip as you need and no more. Right. And no more. And that's a fine art that only comes through thousands and thousands of reps, right? That sort of minimum effective grip or tension, right? Where if you just loosen up a teeny bit, it would go flying, right? But it's that loose grip that helps with the ease of transition. It spares your calluses, all that good stuff, right?
I have, the last time I did the snatch test, I finally got it where the only time I felt like I ever even gripped my hand was when the bell went past my knees.
Yeah. It's funny. It's related to that. I know we've complained about this before, but it's been a while since we complained about it. So I think we can complain on it again. It's just that the overcorrective nature of many coaches, especially the new coaches, right? Mm-hmm. Just every rep is just like a pile of corrections and instructions. And it's just realizing that, hey, once you kind of got the general idea of what you're supposed to be doing, they're like the best thing is just to let somebody get reps. Like I think of the guitar, because that's what I know. Like once I teach people the basic techniques of, how to get your G chord, it becomes massively overproductive if I don't just let them try to strum the darn thing and make a ton of mistakes and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And then I just know they will automatically over time, if they just keep those few basics in mind, course correct and feel it out and figure it out. The same is true for lifting. Corrections need to be applied, but it should be, again, a sort of a minimum effective dose thing. Really, what's going to do a lot or most of the work is just the practice of the repetition with the right intention, right? And as a coach, you have to be willing to let people have a lot of sloppy reps. You can't avoid it. Not dangerous reps, but sloppy reps. Just like, anybody learning an instrument is going to have a lot of sloppy notes, a lot of sloppy chords, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. No bigger point than that. Just thought it was more.
Well, yesterday at track practice, my javelin thrower who had a nice. She's gotten this year. She's won the big meet in California. Took second at a big meet.
Nice.
She's doing great, and we're working on something. And she did that thing. She goes, "Yeah, but now." So we're working on this specific thing. For those volleyball, you don't want to spike the javelin. You want to serve the javelin, if that makes sense. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we're working on serving the javelin, not spiking the javelin. Okay. And she starts bringing up all these other things that she feels like we need to work on. And I stopped and I remind her and I said, my coaching method is to work on one thing. And if something else breaks down, my job is to fold my arms. And I'm quoting myself from yesterday, fold my arms and say, we'll work on that later. Because now we're working on the G chord. Tomorrow we'll work on the whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Good. All right. Just a few more here. Jim says humane burpee followed by is that Sparrowhawk?
Sparhawk.
Yeah. Sparhawk. Yeah, that's one of your routines, Dan. He wants to know if there's any drawbacks to that.
Yeah. Didn't I answer this on my Q&A over my podcast? But it's a lot of squats. So Jim, if you're going to do it, just be prepared to do a lot of squats. So you're going to end up with, depending on which one you do, you'll be sneaking up on 80 or 90 squats. So, I just think that's a lot of squats, but, oh, by the way, I'm squatting again. I thought so, and I'm loving it. So life is good. But yeah, Jim, that's a lot of squats, but go ahead, try it. Get back to me. Don't just ask, do.
Don't just slip into the void, right?
Yeah, so let us know how it goes. Yeah.
Nick says, experimenting with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 kettlebell snatches followed by suitcase carries as a finisher for easy strength. Takes about 15 minutes when I don't have time for a longer walk. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it's 15 snatches, both hands, and suitcase carries. I don't think that's a ton of stuff. Doing it all at once is going to get your tickering, I think.
Yeah, good.
Your lungs lunging. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Before we go, Dan, I don't know if you noticed, but we had some extra protection and reinforcement here today. I asked the kids to clean up their stuffed animals, and somehow they all wound up in my podcast room here. So isn't that funny how it happens? We got Iron Man here, Spider-Man over there. So we're in good hands.
Well, I feel safer.
I would figure, with that in the background, we usually get like, hey, what, if you had to design a workout for Iron Man, what would it be?
Oh, I got one of those kind of things this morning. Avery asks about, if I have a workout, anybody is asking, if I have a loaded carry workout, I tend to name them after members of the raptor family. So raptor from the Latin to pick, the rapture. Because I think that's funny. So there's the eagle, the sparrowhawk. There's others. Yeah.
That is fun. That's good. All right, Dan, before we say goodbye, what do you got coming up this week? What are you working on? All that good stuff.
Well, my inner circle starts tomorrow, so that's exciting for me.
Very cool.
We are in the middle of that weird, whatever you call spring in Utah. It'll be 70, then snow, 65, then, so we're in the middle of that. So, but the nice thing is everybody's budding here. All my bushes are budding. My trees are budding. Everything's budding. So I'm excited about that. Got track season going on, working on an actual new version of the armor building formula because I just get so many questions on it.
Mm-hmm.
But life is good. I'm home. I feel good. Workout's been great. I'm very excited about things. And one other thing, folks, is that even though it's against one of my primary things about my perfect day, I've been using the alarm clock lately to get up and get a little walk in before my first coffee. And I got to tell you, folks, if you want to start the day and getting a little walk, about 2,500 steps before my first cup of coffee, which isn't very much, but got to tell you, it's not bad. I'll let you know in the future how that's going. Okay?
It's a difference maker. I like it. Thank you, Dan, as always. Thank you, gentle listeners, for the questions. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.